Hey everyone, welcome to Ian and Friends. I'm FloBikes Senior Editor Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan, Ian's friend. Today we are going to give you a recap of the exciting weekend in professional cycling.
Yeah, let's start with the UAE Tour. This is a World Tour level stage race, field of some of the top GC stars in the world, as well as like a Tour de France level sprint field there. In the GC, it was really Primož Roglič not emerging, but cementing himself as, one of the top GC riders in the world. Jumbo-Visma had a solid team time trial. Roglič took over the lead on the summit finish at Jebel Hafit and then won the summit finish to Jebel Jais. I think the interesting storyline there was Tom Dumoulin was not looking great on the summit finish to Jebel Hafit. I think he finished 14th, like 44 seconds down. We got an interview with him after the stage. He was not happy at all, a bit concerned of his form. He'd just come to UAE off a training camp in Tenerife. But, he came back on this final summit finish and nearly won the thing. It was a climb that suited him quite a bit better, a long, like 15-kilometer climb at only, about 5.5% in gradient. And there was still a pretty big group coming to the finish, but Dumoulin, doing as Dumoulin does, he went all out in the sprint, and Roglič was just able to come around him at the end. Also, Dumoulin showing some form with trying to win the stage on the climb to the dam, which ended up being a sprint that Caleb Ewan won. But I mean, it was cool just to see like all-out racing by these GC stars. What'd you see in the sprint battle?
Yeah, as expected, the depth of the sprint talent at UAE Tour was absolutely incredible. In 4 sprint finishes, we had 4 different winners. We had Fernando Gaviria led out by a very impressive Alexander Kristoff. Keep an eye on this UAE sprint train throughout the year, because with Kristoff leading Gaviria to the line, that is going to be a very, very, very difficult duo to beat. We also had, as Ian said, Caleb Ewan taking a stage win, his first World Tour victory after a disappointing run in Australia. Elia Viviani, of course, was up there, and then Sam Bennett took the final stage. Another rider of note is that Alejandro Valverde. He did win a stage at the UAE Tour, so there will be no curse of the rainbow jersey this year.
Yeah, let's get on to the Cobbled Classics, the opening weekend. Omloop, Het Nieuwsblad, and Kern Brussels Kern. These races did not disappoint at all.
No, not at all. And as you may have seen us say, if you saw our preview video, Quickstep, despite losing Nicky Terpstra and a few of their other riders, is still absolutely the team to beat in the Cobbled Classics. The organization and depth that this team showed is really unbelievable. Kicking it off with Zdeněk Štibar in the breakaway at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad.
Yeah, one of the other storylines we were looking at, though, is some of these rising stars and even rising classics teams. Jumbo-Visma has really ramped up their classics team with the signing of Wout van Aert, and they were the team that really took the race over, and they split the race on the cobbled climb of the Molenberg with about 50 kilometers to go. Wout wasn't able to hold the pace in the front group, ended up falling back to the second group, and it was really a crash by Lotto rider Tiesj Benoot, who will be defending his title at Strade Bianche on Saturday on FloBikes. His crash with about 30 kilometers to go ended up forcing a final selection of really sort of the classic stars we expected. Greg Van Avermaet, Daniel Oss was up there for Bora Hansgrohe in the absence of Peter Sagan. An Astana rider, of course, Lutsenko, Dylan Teuns, and Tim Wellens of Lotto, and then, of course, Zdeněk Štibar. I mean, the storyline for me was that Quickstep, for as dominant as they are, as many riders as they are, they really trusted Štibar in that front group. There was definitely no chase from behind other than a little dig by Gilbert on the mirror, but Štibar had the confidence of the team in him, and he proved that their confidence was right.
Yeah, that is one of the incredible things about a squad like Quickstep, is they know every single rider on that team is capable of winning, and when you are in the position, it doesn't matter if it's Štibar or another rider on the squad, when they are in that move, it is their job to win, and Štibar just timed his winning move to absolute perfection. Van Avermaet had completely worn himself out chasing other riders' attacks. Štibar went, and there was just no response to the speed of him. But the rider who was always lurking in the background, if you saw the chasing peloton, was Bob Jungels, who had an incredible ride the next day.
Yeah, Jungels' ride at Kern Brussels Kern, I mean, for me was the highlight, the storyline of the weekend. This is a rider that we pointed out in our preview show as, you know, he's coming into the Cobbled Classic squad for Quickstep ostensibly to replace Terspera. I think it's an upgrade. I mean, he showed just how strong he is at Kern Brussels Kern.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this young Luxembourg rider. He is only 26 years old, and he is one of the biggest motors in the World Tour peloton. We are going to see so much of this rider in the coming years, and having Quickstep let him loose on the Cobbled Classics this year is going to be incredibly, incredibly exciting. But so he soloed off in Kern Brussels Kern, and the thing of note that just really shocked me is that Quickstep was so organized that they had their entire team lined out starting at second wheel. So the field just wasn't able to get a chase organized because one rider would be chasing and they could have no help because the entire Quickstep squad was right behind, ready to shut down any move, any chase that was trying to bring back Jungels.
Yeah, I mean, Quickstep is displaying a really forward, aggressive style of racing. I mean, the riders that are off the front are taking ownership in that move. I mean, Jungels forced this lead group at 65 kilometers to go from the finish and then ended up leaving the selection of about 5 riders as it was disintegrating with 15 kilometers to go. And then, you know, so he's out front, and yeah, like you said, Quickstep is just putting on a blocking clinic behind. I mean, for me, also the storyline with Jungels is this is a bona fide Grand Tour rider. You know, he's been top 10 at the Giro d'Italia twice in, I think, 2016 and 2017. And I really wish more Grand Tour riders would take a stab at these Cobbled Classics. We saw Geraint Thomas come up through the Cobbled Classics. He's been top 10 at Roubaix, was a winner at E3 Harelbeke. So it shows that, you know, if you want to be a Grand Tour rider, you don't necessarily need to be one-dimensional. You don't need to plan your season around Paris-Nice and these other sort of formulaic stage races. These races like Jungels are doing are probably preparing him very well for a future run at the Tour de France. I mean, the stress that it takes to win a race like this, to handle yourself in a peloton like that, there's nothing better that's going to prepare you for the Tour de France.
Completely agree. And one other rider that definitely deserves an honorable mention is Owain Dille of Team Sky. He had a fantastic ride at Kern Brussels Kern. He looked like he was probably the second strongest rider in the field, and justly so. He did get second place. He was really, really drilling the chase. He was one of the only riders with the impetus to lead a chase after Jungels into the finale. I think that teams like Team Sky, Nicky Terpstra on Direct Energy was a ally to Owain Dille at that race. These teams, they are really going to have to organize themselves and give riders like Dille backup in the finale because, you know, no matter how strong a rider like Owain Dille is, they can simply not take on an entire squad of Quickstep riders following them around single-handedly.
Yeah, I mean, Dille is a really interesting story and exciting rider. 25 years old, came up through the Wiggins development team, and he's somebody who's dreamed of competing at the sharp end of these Cobbled Classics his entire life. So for him to be on the podium at Kern Brussels Kern was, you know, a career achievement, a life achievement for him at his young age, and we're going to hopefully see a lot more from him in these classic seasons. But I agree with you that Sky is going to have to beef up their classic squad and give him some more support. What he did in the last kilometer of this bike race was, yeah, just incredibly impressive. We will be back with more Cobbled Classics midweek on Tuesday with the UCI 1.1 race, GP Samin. Tune into that live and on demand on FloBikes, and then the next big race, Strade Bianche, on Saturday. We'll be back with a full preview for that event.
Yes, please do tune in. Lots more bike racing to come on FloBikes. Thank you for joining.